Jada's here with me, so she's gonna like kind of help do some tech. Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Everybody's good. I'm gonna give people a couple minutes. Jada, check LinkedIn, see what they're. We give people a couple of minutes to get in. Maybe you're getting ready for lunch break. Maybe you just finished lunch break. Hope you don't have the itis if you just ate, because that is the opposite of what we're doing today.
Indeed.
Welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Lauren.
And I'm Dr. Nicole Murray.
This is the Dr. Nicole Murray.
Yeah.
This is
very excited to be here.
All right. On there? Okay. So they said that we're live. We're on LinkedIn. So we definitely want to be respectful of folks' time. So we're just going to go ahead and get to it. Just to kind of set the tone in terms of how today and our time together is going to run. We're just going to kind of do a little intro. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Dr. Nicole will tell you a little bit about herself. And then we're going to just dive into this brain, food, optimizing brain health kind of seminar today. I'm going to teach a little bit about food and how to really optimize what you eat to have just optimal brain function. And I'm going to teach about it while I'm cooking and putting a little something together. That was just like something last minute I decided to do. I had all my points together, but I said, why don't we just cook it and put it together and make it super easy? So I'll do that, just a brief cooking demo for you guys. And then Dr. Nicole is going to take it away and she's going to deep dive and teach you all a couple of things. Then we'll kind of come back, we'll do a summary and we'll talk about what's next and how do we move forward with our brain food. Sound good to everybody? Let me know in the chat if that is good for you, if that works for you. Oh, let me get the chat on. I'm like, where is
it? I don't see anybody in the chat.
Let me get the chat so I can see if you guys have anything. There we go. Happy to be here. Hey, Dot. How's it going? We're not there yet, though. Okay. All right. So my name is Dr. Lauren. I'm a board-certified family medicine physician. I'm also known as the culinary doctor, and that's because I like to teach about food. I believe food is a very powerful drug, one of the most powerful drugs we have in the world. It has the power to do harm. It has the power to also do some really, really good stuff. And so I believe we can use food to really prevent disease, manage disease, and reverse disease. My story basically started when I was in residency. My dad had a health scare. And even though he was taking a whole bunch of medications, I recognized that that just wasn't enough. If you don't change what you're eating, if you don't change how you're moving, if you don't change what you're consuming, if you don't manage your stress, bad stuff with your health can and will still happen if you don't make those changes. So that's kind of where my story started and where my kind of passion for studying food and studying how I can really help my patients do better with their food. So that's about me. Dr. Nicole?
Yes. So I am a neuropsychologist. And so for a lot of folks, when I introduce myself, they're like, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that is. But that's okay. That's okay. Usually you actually don't see me or hear about me until it's too late. So I actually was brought up in the neuro rehabilitation world. And so I see folks that have had strokes, have had heart attacks, have had MS, have cancer. And I see them after the fact. They're readying themselves to go back to work. And I'm the one that says, okay, yes, you can go back to work. No, you cannot go back to work. You can go back to work if these things are met. And I've basically now transitioned into private practice. I see a lot of folks now with ADHD kind of going back to work and trying to kind of mitigate how they organize time management, all of the things that sometimes get in the way of their brilliance. And so, so I do a lot of assessment, I do a lot of diagnosing, I do a lot of testing, and I do some therapy, but I'm retiring out of that world. But that's me in a nutshell. And so today I'm actually going to talk to you a little bit about stress and attention in general, because I think stress is a little bit underrated. I think everybody is stressed on some level, but I kind of wanted to highlight like what we can really do about stress and what it looks like and how it will kind of affect our day-to-day efficiencies in life. Yes. So that is a little bit about me. I'm also a recovering plant killer. If you can see, my plant is alive. It's real. Someone's called it gray the other day. It is not gray. It is a luscious green. It's just the camera. But yes, that's me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, sorry, I was doing a little techie. I'm going to bring my other computer up because this one keeps going in and out of the Wi-Fi. So
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna bring. You were great though. Everything you're sounding, we hear you. We're wonderful. I don't know why my Wi-Fi is funky just on this computer, so I'm gonna switch to my other computer.
Oh, I'm so excited to see you cook something. I'm taking notes. I hope everyone is taking notes. Look at you doing this in the middle of your workday, and I know you're working today.
Do you hear me, Len?
I can hear you great.
All right. Okay, that's good. Okay, I wanted to make sure I was having double audio. Okay, so let's get into it. Let me get into my food part. Now, I want to start by saying that breakfast, well, how many agree? How many, let's poll this. Most important meal of the day. What is the most important meal of the day? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. Let me know. What do you think is the most important meal of the day? Is it still breakfast? Is it the meal we start with, or is it the meal we end with? Which meal is the most important meal of the day? Okay. So the most important meal of the day, the most important meal of the day is the meal that you break. So for me, my most important meal of the day is my lunch. Because I fast in the morning, my first meal is around 11:30, 12. So that meal is going to be the most important meal of the day for me. So I think that makes sense, right? What meal we eat when we break our fast, that first meal, sets the tone for so many things. It sets the tone for our energy level. It sets the tone for how clear we are, how efficient we are. It sets the tone for so many things. So if I said, do you want to break your fast with Skittles? You'd say,
No. Don't do that for so many other reasons. Don't do that.
that doesn't sound like a good idea. But when I say, would you like to break your fast with or Cinnamon Toast Crunch or the Danishes at the coffee shop? Now that's a little close to home. Now it's like, what are you saying? What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say about my right? Those are very high glycemic index is what we call it, meaning they make your blood sugar jump so much when you consume them. So those are not the type of foods that we want to break our fast with. Those are not the type of foods that we want to start our day with.
So I just have a quick question for you, Dr. Lauren. First of all, I don't know if it's my audio, but I can't hear you as well. I think your audio is cutting in and out just a little bit. So the breakfast is what I'm hearing, the most important meal of the day. But you could theoretically have breakfast at 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock. I'm so curious to hear actually your thoughts on like intermittent fasting and if that's good for the body and if it's okay to do that, like not the Skittles breakfast, but the daily breakfast in the
fasting is really good. It's going to be person dependent. I think we used to think that fasting or time restricted eating was just good for everybody. And I think that's not necessarily true, especially with women and our cycles and just different things that change throughout the month, our health status, if we have any autoimmune conditions. So I'm not going to say universally everybody should fast. Someone said you guys are having difficulty hearing.
Let me know. I'm hearing you 100% better now.
Better? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I would say fasting is really going to depend on the person. It's really, really going to depend on the person. What I know for sure is that the average American eats between 12 to 13 hours out of the day, which is a long lot of hours because there's only 24 hours in the day, which tells me that people are waking up and they're eating throughout the day, and then they're eating and they're going right to sleep. Because if you're eating that many hours of the day, it's just not possible to give your body time to really rest and digest. So I can say for sure, time restricted eating, that window may be different for different people, but for sure, we shouldn't just not be consuming food throughout the entire day. We just should not. We just should not. Okay. So I'll say that. So things that we want to put in our brain, things that we want to fuel our brain with are anti-inflammatory foods, You want to get lots of fruits and vegetables.
Mhm.
Do not want to be eating like high sugary things, because what happens is, again, it's going to bump up your blood sugar, and it's going to make it really hard for you to focus. And it's going to make you're going to feel okay initially as that energy level spikes when the sugar spikes, but then it has to come down very quickly. And so your energy level is going to go down very quickly. So you'll feel good, but then you'll feel bad. And so what's going to happen is you're going to go run back to the sugary thing. Oh my goodness, I'm crashing again. I'm going to go run back to the sugary coffee. I'm going to grab that soda. I'm going to grab another muffin, and it becomes this cycle, and your blood sugar is going to go up and then down, up and then down. And it's just not going to feel good. It's not going to feel good. So we want to think about foods that are nice and have nice fiber. So it's going to keep us full. And then I really like to break my fast with something with nice, healthy fats and healthy protein, because it's just going to be excellent, excellent fuel for the brain. So what I wanted to make for you guys today is a brain food. What do I want to call it? Do I want to call it a salad? It's like a salad. It's like a next level salad. Okay. So I'm using my extra camera that I was going to have for you guys to be able to see above. So I'm going to kind of show you this way. So I'm going to build my salad. I just have a nice plate here, and I did some prep work before. So ideally, you want to be consuming like 7 to 9 servings of vegetables in a day. That's a lot for some people.
I'm so curious. What is your norm? Like, how much are you really getting in terms of your servings of vegetables and fruits? And that's combo, right? Like fruits and vegetables, or
Yeah,
7
that's
vegetables?
fruits and vegetables, though I'd rather you be getting more servings of vegetables than fruit.
Yeah.
And I think people maybe overestimate how much vegetables they get, because I'll say, oh, do you eat a good amount of vegetables? Oh, yeah, I eat a ton of vegetables. Okay. Tell me in the last 24 hours what you've consumed. And they tell me in like one meal had peas.
Right. Yeah.
One meal had peas, and that was the only vegetables that they had. So, not a great estimate.
Yeah.
So 7 to 9 servings is pretty easy to do. This dish in of itself is probably gonna have like 5. So you can get it in one meal. You can get a lot of servings if you just kind of plan. You're not getting enough? I know, it's hard, right?
It's
So
difficult.
before I got on,
What is that?
I roasted some sweet potatoes and some chickpeas and some onions. And I just did literally super simple. I just drizzled it in some olive oil and a little sea salt and some Italian like herb spicing, and threw it in the oven, just in this cast iron skillet. And so this is going to help keep us full, right? Because these are going to be our complex carbs. These are going to be our healthy protein with these chickpeas. And I like to bake them because it gives them a nice crust. So throw them in the air fryer. That's also an option. Also, with your fruits and vegetables, we all know how expensive food has gotten. Your fruits and vegetables are going to be the most least expensive thing that you eat. They're going to be the most least expensive thing that you eat and that you cook. Okay, so I've got some of that. Next, I'm going to do a little fruit here. So I've got some peaches. This is just such a simple salad. Then I'm going to do a little smoked trout. So I have a little smoked trout here, the little caviar on top, but you could do tuna, you could do smoked salmon, you could do chicken salad. Just, make sure you're not putting anything too naughty in here, but this is going to be our nice healthy fats that are also good for fueling our brain. And then instead of crackers, right, which are full of just simple carbs that are going to cause us to crash, I'm going to put some celery sticks that we can dip it in, and some carrots that we can dip that in.
This looks delicious.
And then the next thing I'm going to do, the last thing, is I'm going to make a very simple salad dressing, because, what I find sometimes is that we think we're doing good by making a salad, but then we put stuff on it that's no bueno, right? We put the ranch, we put the heavy Caesar dressing, we put the creamy stuff, and then we just crossed off all the positive stuff we just did, by putting what we put on top. So you see here, there's no bacon bits. I don't have any cheese on here. No, a little bit of cheese is okay. But I'm going to make a dressing. It's going to be so simple. I just have some seasoning, just some Italian herb seasoning, a little bit of sea salt. I cut up some shallots. I cut up a clove of garlic. I'm going to take some extra virgin olive oil. I'll do a little drizzle here. And then you can do any kind of like acid. So any kind of vinegar, or you can just do a lemon and juice your lemon. I'm just going to do a little balsamic vinegar here. That already looks so good. I'm going to give this a little whisk. Okay, that looks so good. So now I'm just going to put this over our salad so that we have some nice dressing.
Oh my gosh. Dr. Lauren, how long did it take you to make this? Like to prepare and to like really put all of this together?
Like really nothing. I mean, I think the longest part is like washing and chopping vegetables. Okay. You know, the chickpeas and the sweet potatoes, I just threw that in the oven. I mean, really the washing and chopping is the longest. And if you do that at the beginning of the week, you can kind of have it prepped for the week. So sometimes you can do a little bit of upfront work and then you're good.
Yeah.
I have some nuts that I could add on top. My friend Dr. Jade is here and she's going to eat this when we're done. And she has a little nut.
I want to eat it while you're done.
So I'm not going to put them on, but you see, Diddy, you want to taste? So they can hear somebody else's words. Yes. Put your face so they see you're a real person. She's a real person who uses her brain a lot. Yeah. You need good brain food.
Absolutely. And I can hardly wait. And I'm hungry too. It's really, really good. Really, really, really
Thank
good.
you. Thank you for that. How delicious it is.
Without all the other stuff. It just complements the salad. Love it.
All right. So that was my brain food. That was my brain food demo and little things. So Dr. Nicole, I'm going to let you take it away.
You know, that looks so good. And thank you for kind of like breaking down how easy that is, because that looked very easy. I mean, you did that literally starting at, I think, the 10-minute mark. And in 7 minutes, you have this literally gourmet salad, which is ridiculous, but it's obviously doable. You just did it. And you can eat that and go back to work. And so here's the thing, right? When we're thinking about these salads and we're thinking about brain health, all of the things that you put in there are just so good for you, right? And so sometimes when you think about like lunchtime, sometimes like in the past, what I would do is I would actually skip lunch, because what would happen is I would eat and then I would get so tired, and nobody wants a sleepy therapist. Nobody wants a sleepy therapist, right? And so what ends up happening is when you eat way too many like heavy carbs, right? All of that blood rushes down from your brain to your stomach to help digest. And then you're left to like a little woozy and lightheaded, right? Which is why like team lunches are really, they're great for morale, but terrible for productivity in the afternoon. But in the event that that does happen, when you actually take a walk, like a walk around the block or whatever, you actually start to recirculate that blood and you start to kind of feel awake again. So if that ever does happen to you, that is what you can do. But one of the things that I just wanted to highlight before I kind of get into stress is like, I love that your salad contained like the protein, and that was a vegetarian salad. There was no chicken in there, no steak.
Yeah. Vegan, really? No, vegetarian, because there was some smoked trout.
Smoked trout. Okay. Okay. Anyways, point is that the smoked trout had that really great the omega-3s that our brain literally thrives in, right? It also has the protein, and it has the healthy carbs. And so a lot of times when I see people and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm cutting out carbs and all of this stuff, I'm like, your brain needs carbs. Your brain needs glucose. It takes the glucose from the carbs. That is what gives you energy. That is what reduces mental fatigue. And so if you are doing a super low carb diet and you're cutting out all aspects of sugar, including fruits, you are going to feel fatigued. You can expect to feel fatigued. You can expect to lose some weight, but you can expect to lose some of that cognitive clarity, because you do need those healthy carbs. And of course, the protein is so important for the neurotransmitter transmission.
Yeah.
And that communication between neurotransmitters. And why that's important is because there's certain chemicals in our brain that we need to just function better. So if you've ever felt like, oh, I don't want to do anything, I can't, like, I know I need to do this project, I know what to do, I know how to do it, I just can't. I can guess there's a lack of norepinephrine that's happening. There's a little bit of a decreased dopamine that's happening. And because of these chemicals that are a little bit reduced, it's hard to initiate and execute and implement. So it's so important that we keep our brain healthy. And the same thing goes for stress. And so I am a everyone's a clinical psychologist by training. And then we all go off into our little specializations, which mine is the brain. But when we think about stress, and the first thing we tell folks is go to therapy or take meds. And listen, do both. You can do both, right? The meds help take the edge off, and the therapy actually helps work through the things that you need to work through. But for some people, they feel this heaviness and they feel this stress and they feel not good for no reason, right? And sometimes they'll come to therapy and they'll say, I don't know, I just feel blah. And I actually start to wonder about, like, well, what are you eating then? And how much are you exercising? And what is your sleep like? Because all of these things will actually lead to just a deficit in just healthy mood or emotional functioning, right? And so if you're feeling a little bit on edge, super irritable, overstimulated, that kind of energy, I'm kind of thinking about, all right, maybe there's too much norepinephrine and maybe not enough protein and maybe not enough dopamine sorts of things that will help kind of alleviate that stuff. And then if you're feeling super sluggish, again, it's that low energy, right? And so you really do want to be thinking about getting a really good, healthy baseline when you kind of go through the hiccups of the day, because, life is always going to life, right? There's always going to be triggers. There's always going to be things that annoy you. There's always going to be things that happen to you that shouldn't happen to you. And as much as we can, use these healthy tools, like mind tools, to help kind of mitigate some of these things, what we really do need to be thinking about is what we're doing to our bodies, what we're consuming in our bodies, to kind of get us to that state where, okay, yeah, that does suck, but that doesn't, it's not going to bother me as much. A great example is, and this is anecdotal research, not real research, so I'm just going to put that caveat in there. But I feel like some of my colleagues, the folks that they drink their matcha tea and they have their dark pieces of dark chocolate and they have like all of these lovely things, they're in such good moods. And I actually did some real research on this, and that actually does help with your mood functioning. It does elevate your mood a little bit. And so sometimes when we're thinking about just avoiding like that stress response, that cortisol response, is sometimes we just need to create and build these habits ahead of time, cushioning ourselves. So when there is a blow, we're not going all the way down. We're not spiraling. We're not ruminating, all of those things. We're actually even keel and even, right? Just neutral. That's what I hope for people. I just want you to be neutral, right? And functioning at a regular rate where you can feel great productivity, efficiency, etc. So now how this kind of relates to the workplace and all of that is that when people are not eating the healthy carbs and the healthy fats and the healthy proteins and those sorts of things, we start to kind of not feel good, right? And did you know like 50% of people that go on to a long-term sick leave, it's because of depression, it's because of stress, it's because of anxiety and all of these sorts of things. And so we really want to be creating these workplace environments where it is least stressful, right? Like even if it's high paced and high pressured, it doesn't mean it needs to be high stress, right? And so sometimes what I see too in working with some of these companies is that they're like, yes, your wellness, you're hired, get on board. And then we just throw spaghetti at the wall. And it's kind of like, all right, well, that's awesome that there is yoga there, but I'm not really sure how sustainable that is. And sometimes you kind of need to be a little bit more specific in your work culture, your work environment, and what exactly do your employees actually need, right? Is it to be in a less stressful environment? Is it to be in a less anxiety-provoking environment? And sometimes people use these words simultaneously, and I'll just explain my difference, right? So stress is, okay, I have to do a presentation at 1, I have to do a feedback at 2, I have to do a paper that has to be handed in at 3, and all of these things I know, all of these things are being prepared, but it's very time crunched. It's stressful to do all of those things. Anxiety is like, I don't know what to do. I'm a little bit lost. I'm a little bit frazzled. I am unsure, right? Anxiety is based on a fear, and it's typically a fear, not typically, it is based on a fear of the unknown, right? And so they do present, they kind of feel the same, but they do feel different at the same time. And so when you're having like a excitable sort of energy, it's typically that's anxiety that we're talking about. And when we're thinking about stressed, it's really just a heaviness of all of the things that are weighing you down, right? So I just wanted to kind of differentiate between those two. And so what do you kind of do about that? I think you would handle it in different ways.
Yeah.
Right? And so you do want to kind of think about what are the foods that go with what can you eat? We talk about comfort eating and that how that's bad for you. I don't think it's bad for you. I think some of the foods that we choose for comfort eating is bad for you.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you're not feeling well, you might want to think about, okay, maybe I do have this chickpea with smoked trout and this salad, right? When we're feeling low energy, like what I was saying, I was not joking. Like I really want that salad right now because man, that would give me some really good energy and some brain power to carry me through the afternoon, right? And when we think about our energy, it drops off at 2:00. And actually that's old research. That's like research from like 2017. I assume by now it's like 1:00 with all of the stresses that we have throughout the day and all of the building projects. We actually start to drop off right after lunch.
Wow.
And so we just want to be really mindful. And so I'm really excited to, I don't know if we have half an hour or an hour with this, but I'm going to assume we have an hour.
Half an hour, girl.
I want to respect your time. I could literally talk about this 4 hours, and I am so excited to be with Dr. Lauren in September for our workshop where we really pair and integrate how these both work together, right? Because at the end of the day, we don't want to lose our employees. Because they don't feel good. And then they take time off. And then, okay, you're not going to give me time off. I'm going to take a long-term sick leave. Now you have to find another person. That costs 30% of their salary. It's very expensive to lose employees to health. And so when you think about it in a holistic way with nutrition and brain function, because you need your brain to work, right? If we can optimize that just a little bit, if we can optimize those two things, then you really position yourself, you position your employees to be in a better place. Now, of course, if you continue not to make changes, then nothing changes. And then, you have some folks that they're fine, right? But we know for a fact, statistically speaking, that anytime that we're doing these sorts of like wellness workshops and things like that, and people are engaged and they're invested and really bettering their health and bettering the health of their employees, their productivity, their efficiency rates increase by 20%. Now, for some people, like, 20%, that's not a lot. It is when you have employees working at a 60% capacity, right? From 60 to 80, and having people that are working, your great employees that are working at 70%, going from 70% to 90% capacity. And so it is something that you don't want to miss. It is something I'm super excited about. I also have demonstrations. Yes, I'm a little petty. Yes, I'm a little jealous. So I will be kind of going through like, this is exactly what it looks like. But also, just to kind of give you like a little sneak peek, we did create just a couple things in the meantime, between now and then, you can take a look at. So I have the brain health assessment in terms of like, when you answer these 10 questions, look, you kind of already know, but this is your trouble area. This is what you need to do. This is what's going to actually help, right? So I suggest you take it. It's going to be really informative. And I hope to see you in September. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys go to betterbraingoodies.com, you'll be able to get that brain assessment that Dr. Nicole was just talking about. You'll be able to literally click and do the assessment right there. I also have a freebie for you that includes kind of the top foods that we should be eating to improve our brain health. And then I take it one step further after I explain why these foods. I give you 3 recipes that include all those foods. So
is this recipe included?
Yeah, there's 3. This one, no. I just made it.
You made.
I just made you want this one? Okay. I'll put this in another one. Listen, if you come to the workshop, you'll get this recipe too. But we're having a workshop in September. If you scroll down on the page, you'll see all the information for the workshop. This is for the folks that want to go a bit deeper. You really understand the value. You know this is important. You want to feel better. You want your team to feel better. This is part of your strategy to just the whole company going next level. This is the type of workshop you want to get into. It's going to be, we're just going to go really deep. It's going to be 90 minutes together, where Dr. Nicole and I are going to go really, really deep in terms of how do we really get our brains to function better. It is almost like not talked about enough superpower. Like, you know, I think a lot of people tend to be high functioning. And just like you said, you can function at 60 to 70% and get the job done. But what if your entire team went 20% higher? Like not just one person on the team, but the entire team functioned at a higher level. Like how much better would that do for your bottom line? I think it would do like a whole lot for like a bunch of people, right? So betterbrainhealth.com, betterbraingoodies.com, betterbraingoodies.com. I'll throw it in the chat and you'll be able to kind of download all our free goodies and sign up and get your spot for the workshop. It is going to be very extremely limited seating because we want to be able to go deep. We want to be able to answer your questions. So it's going to be limited seating. So we would love to see you there. If you have any questions about anything you've learned today, if you have any questions about kind of working with us, the workshop, if you have any questions just before you register, feel free to shoot us a DM on LinkedIn. You can put a comment here in the video. You can shoot Dr. Nicole, either of us a DM, and we will be sure to get right back to you ASAP. But I hope you guys had a great day. I hope you were about to eat lunch. That's our lunch. We're about to eat lunch. Dr. Nicole, I hope in your busy day, because I know you had a slammed-packed day today, I hope you also take a break and that you get to eat something, that you get to go for a walk as you care for all the people that you take care of.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a good one. Bye.